Hey y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden. And before we dive in, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with a gardening friend. Okay, today we're going to be working with the succulents that I purchased from Homegrown Plants in Farmersville last week. They are looking beautiful. I'm very excited, but we're going to start with working with an old wooden toolbox that I'm kind of refinish and get revamped before I plant it out. So let's head out and do that. Okay, so this is a toolbox. I picked it up from like an estate sale a few years ago for no more than a few dollars. And I've used it for a lot of different things. You can see me removing Christmas ribbon right here. And it's pretty rough and ready. Definitely handmade. Very simple. I don't feel like, like this is like a massive part of history or anything like that. It's just some guy's, toolbox or whatever. And so what I want to do, I really want to clean it up and I want to stain it a deeper color and I want to give it a water resistant finish just to help it last longer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my mouth sander. And I'm really just going to work on cleaning up the edges, removing dirt, and getting it prepped for staining. Okay, for the stain I went with a golden oak and I did not go buy this, especially it's just something I had on hand. I didn't want to really spend any money on this. I just wanted to kind of use what I had. And this also has a sealer in it, a poly sealer in it as well. And so you can see me putting on a single coat, and a single coat ended up being all that I wanted to do. I tried wiping it a little bit just to see what it would do, but then remembered that it has the poly sealer and that you don't wipe for the poly sealer. And then once I had stained the entire toolbox, I ended up going back and adding a satin finish, waterproof satin finish over the top of it, which I think will really add to the integrity over time. Okay, it is the next day. And look how beautifully this turned out. I wasn't sure in the beginning if it was going to be worth it, but I'm kind of obsessed with it. Absolutely love it. So really excited to get this planting up. It feels good. Like there's definitely still some like rough spots, but it's just a lot smoother than it was. And I'm really excited that I went ahead and treated this and protected this, and hopefully this will last me several more years. But let's get on to the fun part, and that's planting it up. Okay, so for this, one of the things is you could definitely just plant directly in here. I don't really want the soil having very much contact with the wood because it will increase the rotting rate that it's going at. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to end up lining this with trash bags in order to be able to protect it from any kind of issues. And I think I'm going to cut this open because I really like being able to see the wood of that divider part right there. So I'm just going to cut open the trash bag. Okay, and then I'm simply going to come in like this and just kind of tuck it down like that. And this will go a long way to protecting the wood. Now, I am going to poke a few holes in the bottom of the liner, just so it's easier for it to drain. And there are some holes at the bottom of this toolbox. But one of the great things about succulents is we don't really water them very often anyway, so it works good. Okay, so the key to growing succulents is making sure that you're creating the right environment for them. They love full sun, and they don't like to be overly watered. So I'm really kind of thinking about how I am filling in these containers. And I'm sorry that I'm in this dress today, y'all. It's so freaking hot. And this is my running around dress. So what I've done is I've come in, I think I'm gonna add a little bit more. I put in about 1 inch of sand at the base of these. And this sand is really great for drainage. Pulls that water away and allows the roots to dry out a little bit in between waterings, which we definitely want. So for this bottom layer, 1 to 2 inches, you can use pea gravel. You can use sand like I've done, or you can use perlite to add drainage at the bottom. So it's a really good way to start. For the middle layer, typically we're gonna add cactus, succulent potting mix, light, airy, and fast draining. Optional, you can mix in some perlite or coarse sand if your climate is very humid. You don't want to use like a heavy gardening soil. I am going to use my Burger BM7 soil because that works great for me. It's light and airy. It does great for my seed starting. So I think it's going to work great for succulents. I've also planted in it multiple times, succulents in the past, and I know that it does well. So I'm just going to empty out what I currently have in my potting mat. And I'm just working it to the sides to make sure we got a good fit in there, and then we'll fill up this side. All right, so this one's way darker looking because it's kind of moist, whereas this soil over here is dry. Now, before I get too far in, I'm going to go ahead and go through with my scissors and trim off the excess of the trash bags. And then after we get everything planted, we'll tuck all that down in there so you won't see it. Okay, that makes it way easier to see everything. Okay, so choosing succulents, especially for the south. So we want to focus on varieties that handle heat, sun, humidity with minimal fuss, which is really important. These are well suited for zones 7 through 10. So I'm going to talk about some of the types of varieties that we can use. I'll put some pictures up. So we want an upright focal succulent, and I've got a couple of options for those that are much taller. I'll show you as we go through. Things like aloe vera, which thrives in sun, heat, and dry conditions. Agave blue glow is striking form and color, needs space but can be a focal. Calancho, also known as flapjack, loves heat, red tinged in the sun. Anything that's going to be upright and interesting and add a little drama to your space. Other forms to use are rosette form, which is the Echeveria varieties. Avoid overwatering and humidity. Place in bright morning sun. And these are going to get some bright morning sun. They'll get a little bit of afternoon shade, but they're going to get a lot of sun throughout the day. The Greto petalum are really pretty too. Pottery pastel rosettes that trail over the edges, which is lovely. You also want some trailing spiller succulents, and I did in my succulent shopping, I really did focus on that to make sure I had that. Those are sedum, things like burrowtail drape beautifully over toolbox edges. Sedum angelina, which is lovely, golden, trailing, heat tolerant. Portaluca or moss rose, which we ended up getting some of that. We're going to be tucking some of that into this design. It's not a true succulent, but perfect for southern summers with blooms all season. All right, so this design, I do intend on this being more of a 360 design. It's going to be nestled up, but you're going to be able to see it on multiple sides. It's going to be nestled up against a planter. I want to plant the taller varieties towards the center and the shorter varieties towards the edges. Okay, I want to bring y'all in closer so I can show you as I'm planting each one, and then I'll talk about each of the varieties of succulents as I'm getting planted, and I'll also talk about why I'm planting them where they are in the toolbox. Okay, I am going to start with the tallest in the center. And this particular variety is Stonecrop Thundercloud, and it puts off some really beautiful pale pink blooms. And I'm going to work it just to the center of here. And I want some of it to go on one side and some of it to go on the other. Stonecrop Thundercloud is a low-growing, mat-forming sedum with silvery blue leaves and tiny white star-shaped flowers in summer. Grows 4 to 6 inches tall and spreads up to 18 inches, thriving in full sun, hardy in zones 4 through 9. Okay, I have another variety here, and I've lost the tag. Oh, here it is. Great, good. I was like, darn it. This is a Grapetopetalum paraguayanese. You know I'm going to butcher it. It has a little bit of height, but I also want to add it into the design towards the center. And we're being very careful because I am trying to maintain this height on these. Grapetopetalum paraguayanese, or also known as ghost plant, is a rosette-forming succulent with pale gray lavender leaves that can blush pink in sun. Grows 6 inches tall and spreads via offsets. Prefers full sun to light shade. Hardy in zones 9 and 11. Okay, this next one is a massive focal point. This is an Echeveria pink edge, and it is starting to flower. You can kind of see it right there. And it's a big one. I'm actually going to work it towards this back side. So let me turn this around. Oh yeah, I'm not going to be able to turn it around. It's pretty heavy. But I am going to work it towards this back corner over here. Echeveria Pink Edge is a compact rosette succulent with blue-green leaves edged in rosy pink, especially in bright sun. Grows 4 to 6 inches tall and wide, best in full sun to part shade. Hardy in zones 9 through 11. And I will say that all of these succulents, they were watered a few days ago, so their soil is still moist, so they're in good shape. You can see that I have the green and I've got the gray and the gray, so I'm kind of bridging two different aspects. If I had put gray and gray together, they would have no contrast, but having the green in between it helps a lot. Next is one of my Thriller Spillers, and I literally got it because it's wacky like this. I think it's so cool. This is Stonecrop Sun Dazzler Plum Dazzled. And I'm going to situate it so that it spills off both sides. Stonecrop Sun Sparkler Plum Dazzle features plum purple foliage topped with bright pink flowers in late summer. Reaches 6 to 8 inches tall and spreads 12 to 18 inches wide in full sun. Hardy to zones 4 through 9. Okay, this is our last big one, and then we'll switch to smaller ones. This is just, it says a general Echeveria. I don't recognize any kind of particular variety on it, but I do like its kind of purple tones. All right, from this angle, we have several that will drape over, some that will add some height, which is really nice. And then coming around to this side, we have more of the focal plant with a larger succulent here, and then we still have some of this draping situation coming over the side. So now at this point, we want to fill in with some of these smaller, more detailed varieties. All right, the first one I'm going to tuck in is a Hen and Chicks Super Semps Ruby, and I am going to chuck it in on this side where I can see it a little bit more. So you guys aren't going to be able to see it, sorry. Sempervivum Super Semp Ruby is a hardy Hen and Chicks variety with deep ruby red rosettes that intensify in cooler weather. Grows 3 to 4 inches tall and spreads by offsets. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. All right, coming back to this side, I think this is another Hen and Chicks. I gotta look back at my video and I'll put it down below because I don't see my tag on here. Sempervivum Color Rocks Ruby Line has striking rosettes with lime green centers and ruby red tips, changing color with the seasons. Grows 3 to 4 inches tall, thrives in full sun, and hardy in zones 3 through 9. Okay, next I have a Sempervivum Color Rocks Arctic White, and it almost looks like it has spider webs all over it, which I think is just so cool. And I think I'm going to tuck it right right down in here. Sempervivum Color Rocks Arctic White, green rosettes covered in fine white cobweb-like threads, giving a frosted look. Reaches 2 to 3 inches tall, prefers full sun, and is hardy in zones 3 through 9. All right, and finally, I have a few succulents that Kristen had given me from leftover for one of her projects. So I am going to take them and I'm going to tuck them in a few different places. They are already rooting, but they should fill in really nicely. Okay, next I'm going to be switching over to some moss rose. And like I said, this has succulent styling, similar to succulents, but it's not actually a succulent. And it can go a while without water. In fact, when it has less water, it encourages more blooming. So, but this is the way I really wanted to be able to add some color to my design, is by having this kind of situation, by tucking in the moss rose. So I'm literally doing a mix of 3 different colors of moss rose, a pale yellow, an orangey red corally color, and a pink color. And I'm really just going to take my time and I'm going to go work it into all of the different sections of the toolbox. Literally anywhere I have a hole is going to get moss rose. Moss rose is a drought-tolerant, mat-forming annual with succulent leaves and bright rose-like blooms in many colors. It grows 4 to 8 inches tall and spreads 12 to 18 inches in full sun, hardy in zones 10 and 11. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go around with, I've just got a pair of scissors, and I'm just going to use it to gently tuck in any kind of, I'm coming around the front, y'all, any kind of the trash bag that is kind of peeking out. Though I've done a pretty good job covering it all up. Okay, let's take a closer look at it. I will say the moss rose ended up filling in really well. So I think I could go back and snip some of these stems out to encourage some more blooms. It's not blooming right now. I might put it outside for a couple of days and then come back and film it again so you guys can see what some of the blooms look like. I think that that might be helpful. But I think it's filling in nicely. And the moss rose are annuals. The succulents, I should be able to bring them inside. So I can pull them out, repot them up, bring them inside, and then have them for next season. Typically when I leave them outside, they don't do very well during the winter. I really love areas where you just have just a touch of something unique sticking out. I think it's pretty. Let's look at the other side. I think I like this side the best. I really like how this is all gathered together and then you have a different color there. I think is really pretty. You can see some of the flowers. This is one of the reasons I don't like moss rose is the old flowers. I like it. Very pretty. Okay, very pleased with the results. Really like how it turned out. It's going to be in a nice, beautiful, sunny location. I shouldn't have to water it very regularly. Should work out really well. Let's talk a little bit about placement and care. You want to place in full sun to part sun, ideally with morning light and afternoon protection in the deep south. So it is going to be up against a planter and it should receive some shade from the willow tree in the afternoons. Water deeply but infrequently. So these are already very well watered. I don't think I need to water them anymore for at least a couple of weeks. When I do choose to water, I will water these nice and deeply and full and then allow them to just dry all the way back out before I water them again. And only water when the soil is completely dry. If you stick your finger in here and the soil is still moist, do not water, all right? During extreme heat or storms, move to a covered porch or provide shade cloth. We are in extreme heat, so I'm gonna see how it does to start off with, and then we'll go from there to see how it does. Optional, mist lightly when planting to help roots settle in. But don't soak. I'm not going to mist lightly. I'm not going to mess with it at all. These are all well watered prior to planting them up, so I think that they're going to be fine for the time being. A few tips for southern summers, because we all know the southern summers. are hell. They're really, they're really rough. If you have extreme humidity, space plants out for airflow. These are going to be just fine. I'm not really worried about. We do have extreme humidity, but I think that these aren't going to have an issue because it's also just so hot. The moisture just doesn't really have an opportunity to really sit or nestle on the plants. So it evaporates so quickly. Make sure drainage holes stay open and elevate the box. So the box is going to be on top of mulched area. So I could put a few stones underneath it to raise the box up to make sure that the drainage is working well. And then finally, fertilize lightly in the spring with a diluted cactus fertilizer. I plan on taking this apart prior to that point, so I'm not going to worry about it. All right, you all, I hope you guys enjoyed today's project. It felt really good to just kind of work on this toolbox and bring it back to life. It was so dry and getting, had some real rough spots. So it's really nice to just kind of freshen it up and then be able to repurpose it for this succulent planter. And I love succulents. I'm obsessed with succulents. This is how I really got started gardening. I was exploring succulents first. And it's been really fun working on this project with you all today. As always, make sure you like and comment on the video. Every time you like and comment, it helps grow the video and my channel so much. And if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, just drop me an emoji below, letting me know that you made it to the end of the video and you say hi. And check me out in my Patreon community. It's all things She's a Mad Gardener, all things gardening. It's a great group of people. We share what's going on in our gardening, in our gardens, good, bad, ugly, the whole shebang, which is really nice. There is a free tier you can join in under, and there are additional paid tiers. The higher up you are in the tiers, the more access you get, including exclusive videos, as well as group chats and photo sharing. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.